Most people build their financial bookshelf the same way they build their social media feeds, reactively, impulsively, and without intention. A recommendation here. A bestseller there. A book praised by someone successful enough to seem credible. Over time, the shelf fills, but understanding does not deepen. Books about wealth quietly warn against this approach. Learning, like investing, compounds only when guided by structure. The most respected authors in financial literature argue that what you read shapes not just what you know, but how you think about money, risk time, and yourself. A personalized wealth bookshelf is not a collection of titles. It is an intellectual system designed to evolve alongside your financial life. Without that system, even the best books become noise. These books begin by challenging a common assumption that there is a universal reading list for wealth. There is not. What a student needs is different from what an entrepreneur needs. What a beginner needs is different from what an allocator needs. Books that truly change trajectories do so because they arrive at the right moment, not because they are objectively superior. One of the earliest insights repeated across learning-focused wealth books is that reading should mirror financial progression. Early learning is defensive. It focuses on avoiding ruin understanding basics and building stability. Later, learning becomes strategic. It explores allocation psychology cycles and leverage. Advanced learning becomes philosophical. It questions purpose, legacy, and responsibility. A bookshelf that ignores this progression creates confusion rather than clarity. Another recurring lesson is that repetition matters more than novelty. Many people read one book on investing, one on mindset, one on business, and assume coverage. In reality, mastery requires revisiting the same ideas from different angles over time. Books reinforce each other. Patterns emerge only through comparison. A good bookshelf contains overlap by design. These authors also emphasize that every financial reader has blind spots. Some overconsume strategy and underconsume psychology. Others read motivation but avoid math. A personalized bookshelf must be built to confront discomfort, not reinforce preference. Growth happens when books challenge identity rather than confirm it. Another key insight concerns sequencing. Reading about complex instruments before understanding risk is like studying advanced surgery without anatomy. Wealth books stress that confusion is often caused not by difficulty, but by misordered learning. A curated bookshelf respects prerequisite knowledge. It builds layer upon layer, allowing comprehension to compound. These books also highlight the danger of hype-driven reading. Bestsellers often spike during bull markets, promoting certainty, speed, and exceptionalism. Reading them without historical context creates unrealistic expectations. A resilient bookshelf includes counterweights books about failure cycles and humility. These stabilize judgment when markets seduce emotion. Another recurring theme is that learning should be applied selectively. Not every insight requires action. Books that changed lives often did so by preventing mistakes rather than inspiring bold moves. A good bookshelf does not push you to act constantly. It teaches you when not to act. Wealth literature also emphasizes rereading. The same book read at different life stages reveals different lessons. Early readings feel instructional. Later readings feel reflective. This is not redundancy. It is depth. A personal bookshelf grows wiser as you do. Another powerful insight is that curation reflects values. Someone who reads only about maximizing returns may struggle with volatility and meaning later. Someone who reads only about purpose may struggle with execution. Balance matters. A thoughtful bookshelf integrates money mechanics with human behavior, ambition with restraint. Books also caution against outsourcing thinking. Recommendation lists are starting points, not substitutes for judgment. Curating your own shelf forces you to ask why a book belongs there. What question does it answer? What gap does it fill? What bias does it counter? This process itself develops discernment. Another lesson concerns speed. Reading faster does not equal learning faster. Skimming produces familiarity without understanding. The most impactful readers often read fewer books, more carefully, taking time to reflect, connect ideas, and revisit assumptions. A bookshelf built slowly compounds better. These books also stress that financial learning is never complete. Markets change, personal circumstances change, priorities change. A living bookshelf evolves. Some books are retired, others become anchors. New voices are added cautiously. This adaptability keeps learning aligned with reality. Another insight emerges around emotional readiness. Certain books arrive too early or too late. Timing matters. Forcing advanced material before psychological readiness creates anxiety or arrogance. A personalized bookshelf respects emotional development as much as intellectual development. Over time, readers who curate intentionally notice a shift. They stop chasing answers and start refining questions. Reading becomes less about finding certainty and more about improving judgment. This is the quiet goal of wealth education. And this is where the story begins to narrow. Because once you realize that your financial bookshelf is not a badge of intelligence, but a mirror of your priorities, learning becomes deliberate. You stop collecting books. You start building a framework. Each title earns its place by shaping how you think, not by promising what you might earn. And slowly, almost unnoticed, your bookshelf stops being a source of information and becomes a compass, guiding decisions, calming emotion, and evolving with you as your financial life grows more complex and more personal. Like learning to trust your own judgment more than any single author's certainty. And this is where books about curating a personal wealth bookshelf reach their quiet conclusion. In the second half of this journey, the focus shifts from collecting knowledge to integrating it. The most important realization these books offer is deceptively simple. Reading does not make you wiser. Decisions made after reading do. A personalized wealth bookshelf succeeds not when it impresses others, but when it consistently improves how you respond to real financial situations. Authors emphasize that a well-curated bookshelf eventually becomes a filter. When new information appears, market news, investment trends, bold predictions, you no longer react immediately. You compare. You contextualize. You ask whether this fits what you already understand about cycles, incentives, and human behavior. This filtering function is the true payoff of long-term reading. It protects you from noise. Another recurring insight is that the best books slowly disappear into behavior. You stop quoting them. You stop remembering exact passages. Their ideas simply show up in how you allocate money, manage risk, and respond to uncertainty. At that point, the book has done its job. It no longer needs attention. These books also stress that your bookshelf should evolve with your mistakes. When something goes wrong financially, the response is not to read more randomly, but to read more precisely. What did you misunderstand? Risk, time, psychology, incentives. Your next book should answer a question your life just asked, not one the market is advertising loudly. Another important lesson concerns subtraction. Mature readers remove books from their mental shelf. Ideas that once felt powerful may later feel incomplete or dangerous. Letting go of frameworks that no longer serve you is not regression, it is refinement. Wealth learning improves not by accumulation alone, but by pruning. The authors are also clear about one uncomfortable truth: too much reading can become avoidance. Some people read endlessly to delay decision-making. A good bookshelf does not paralyze, it clarifies. When learning becomes a substitute for action, it stops compounding. Wisdom lives at the intersection of understanding and execution. As readers progress, their bookshelf becomes quieter. Fewer new titles, more rereading, more reflection. The need for constant novelty fades. Confidence no longer comes from knowing more, but from knowing enough to act calmly under uncertainty. And then something subtle happens. You stop asking which book to read next and start asking which principle to apply next. Reading shifts from consumption to maintenance. Your bookshelf becomes less about growth and more about alignment, keeping your thinking calibrated as life changes. This is where the journey resolves. A personalized wealth bookshelf is not a one-time project. It is a lifelong companion. It grows with you, challenges you, and occasionally corrects you. It does not promise riches. It offers perspective. And perspective applied consistently over time is what quietly shapes durable wealth. If this reflection resonated with you, pause and look at the books that have influenced you most, not recently, but repeatedly. Those are the ones shaping your decisions today. Share which ideas stayed with you the longest. And if you want to continue exploring book-driven insights that help you think more clearly, act more deliberately, and build wealth with intention rather than noise, subscribe, and stay connected. Because in the end, the most valuable bookshelf is not the one you own, but the one that quietly improves every decision you make.